I managed to take a little bit of a turn around the garden, so I am getting better. In some ways, I kind of also took a little bit of a step back in other ways. But I'll be fine to read today, so there's that. I'm going to start with a little bit of the Dragon Republic, and then maybe Spin the Dawn for my buddy read. It's occurred to me that I haven't made a weekly TBR for this week, which is fine. I am behind on a lot of things. I'm going to finish Matriarch first, just to get my currently reading down. I feel like that'll make me feel better, having finished something. I will make the TBR tomorrow, but right now I'm just gonna treat myself to a little cake because I'm finally allowed to have snacks. So we have a problem with the phone. That problem being that the headphones don't work on it, but they work fine on the laptop. And we've tried 2 of these. So the phone is probably going to have to go away at some point, which is not going to help the vlogging. But also I wanted to jump on and say I was supposed to finish Matriarch. Instead, I kind of word vomited an entire short story out of like 419 words, and I'm just very happy. Even before book group, I knew what to expect from this because there was a member of our group who really enjoyed this, or at least really enjoyed the end. Which tells you everything you really need to know. And yes, it is amazing. I would say I kind of preferred the build up. It is absolutely a magnificent end, and you can tell that's where the author started from. But I do think the build up for me was personally the most enjoyable part. It is amazing though. If you like horror, this isn't quite horror and it is very fairy tale-ish, but if you like that, I would absolutely recommend this. I think it's a great book. I was thinking that maybe my problem with Matilda was because it's kind of epistolary, that this kind of storytelling is a little bit distancing by nature, but then I remembered that one of my favourite books of the year is A Dower of Blood, which I read twice, and that is a confession written by one of Dracula's brides to Dracula after murdering him, like kind of explaining her actions, and that is very emotional and very, like, there's not that distance that's happening with this, and I feel like there's a lot of just telling us things, like, his voice was so gentle and so dear, and talking about all the plans that they were making and things they were talking about, but like you don't tell us what those plans were, and you just kind of gloss over the topics that they were talking about, so like it feels like there's a big disconnect, and I think that is intentional, but it's not really working for me. There is a kind of like dancing around this focus that I don't dislike. I just the way it's done isn't working for me personally. I do kind of like that, as it feels right for Matilda to be doing that. It's interesting. I'm still not the biggest fan, but I am still enjoying the writing itself. Matilda is a pretty simple story, but this confuses me. I don't really understand why there are little passages where the format changes like that. Last week, the only readathon book I finished was Interior Chinatown for the Avatar The Last Airbender readathon. This is my TBR for this week, which I've just now done. It's a wee bit late, but whatever. All Systems Red is the first in the Murderbot books. This is for book group. Carmilla, Yellow Jessamine, and Matilda are for the Mary Shelley-a-thon. The Dragon Republic is for the Draconathon. The Books of Earthsea, well, that's for primarily Among Us, but also it would work for Draconathon. And Spin the Dawn is Among Us and a buddy read. So I got an email from Glasgow Uni about their short courses. They're extending the deadline that you can apply, and I am trying so hard to convince myself that I don't need to learn Latin, but I could. And honestly, do you need a reason to learn something? No. But also there's like 10 other courses that I want that are on days that don't clash with Romancing the Gothic in the book group, and the pain of having to choose, and also knowing that I should probably choose none, is just please someone explain why I do this to myself. I've gotten like 8 hours of sleep over 2.5, I think, days now, and I've managed to hit that sweet spot of not feeling tired anymore, which is great. But I've been taking the time to read a little bit of Murderbot, the first book for a book group tomorrow, and I am quite enjoying it so far. I will say, however, people keep talking about this Murderbot as being sassy, and at this point I'm not quite seeing it. So I have just had the longest, deepest sleep since this entire mess began. After saying that, and I woke up tired. But I'm gonna get some more Murderbot done. I don't know, man. I don't know how my body works. I just live here. So I only got about halfway through the first Murderbot book, but book group was really good. We had a lot of very interesting conversations about like AI and like the inherent colonialism, imperialism of like space expansion and exploration. We also brought up a book that they read previously and I didn't get through, which I'm going to use for Sci-Fi September. What was it called again? To Be Taught If Fortunate, which I'm very excited about because I didn't get to it, but it sounds amazing. and I'm pretty excited as well for the second session of book group tonight. So hopefully I don't sleep through it. So I just did the sign up sheet like 15 minutes ago. And I already don't remember what I said. So probably should not be doing this right now. And yeah, that's gonna be a problem for some other time. Hey, apologies for the lack of visuals. I just found this event on Eventbrite. I think it's called Mary Shelley Beyond Frankenstein, and I think it's on the 30th. I'm going to link it down below in case anyone wants to go. It's just a few talks about her work, and it should be really interesting. I think it's free, so if that appeals to anyone, you know. We've gotten to Woodville now, so making progress. Speaking of remembering Woodville, does anyone remember if there's a dragon in Sorcerer to the Crown? Because I'm not sure if she's just Fee who took the form of a dragon, but I feel like there was a dragon. This is really confusing me. I know I've said that about several of these little format things before, but what? In terms of like this being written to someone, this break for a quote doesn't really make sense, I don't feel. I know that this was taken from a collection of short stories, and so that book probably had an introduction and may have covered this, but this doesn't, and I don't get it. This is what I meant by short story collection, by the way. Overall, aside from that, I kind of just thought it was a little bit prolonged. But Would House. My next read for the Mary Shelley-a-thon is Yellow Jasmine by Caitlin Starling, which was a favourite read of last year and feels a little bit like a part of my soul, which I probably shouldn't admit since it's, Evelyn Perdenu, but Yellow Jasmine was from Neon Hemlock's 2020 novella series, I think, and these two are from the 2021 series, so this is very exciting. I'm still going to read Frankenstein, but I felt guilty about not liking Matilda, so I thought I would try this. Unfortunately, we couldn't get The Mortal Immortal on its own, so I did, however, find this, which also while we're here, I have been sobbing over this for the past few days. I cannot believe it's almost here. I mean next year, but still. I liked The Mortal Immortal a lot more than I did Matilda. Stylistically, I found it a lot easier to read. It was a lot simpler, so there was a little bit of a drawback with that because I did it was too prolonged, I found, Matilda, but I did like the turn of phrase a little bit more there. But it was a nice wee piece, very interesting. I am still reading Yellow Jessamine, 40 to 50% through, I think. So I'll probably get it done tomorrow. And I've been having great fun with that. But most fun of all, I didn't manage to start Iron Widow yesterday for the caffeine book tours. I started it today. It is amazing. I'm still very early in, but it is stunning. I am having such a good time with this. There are little bits that kind of stand out, little details, like the fact that they call it Huaxia, which is a historical name for China. Things like that, wee details just are absolutely delightful. And I love the action pieces. They're really amazing. So yeah, I'm having a great time with that. Also, yes, Frankenstein is definitely a priority, but next week I will be focusing on the draconathon because I feel like with the whole priory of the orange tree being taken off this month's TBR, I'm kind of lost when it comes to dragon books. So yeah, we're gonna try and get back on track with that.